Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Sherry, in case you're new here and you don't know. Today I'm going to show you how I make something like this. Not this exact one because I wore this in a earlier video and somebody asked me to please show them how I made it. So I'm going to do that today. We're going to make another one similar to this style. And the reason I put off showing you how to do this, in case you're wondering, is the denim, working with denim is a little bit hard. It's a little bit tricky, so I felt like some of my first videos should maybe not include using the denim waistbands. But I'm going to do it in this one, and we're going to make something similar to this. So if you want to know how to do it, stay tuned and let's get sewing. Okay, so I thought first we'd take just an overall look at it, and you can see the front here, and I'm going to be trying to copy it, that it has a denim border at the bottom, 2 denim pockets, and then of course we have a little piece of denim waistband, and I've used denim waistband also for the upper straps. I've got sleeves to the side, and when you flip it over you'll see 2 sleeves to the back. So that means for your project you will need 4 sleeves. So here's what I'm going to use. I've got 4 sleeves here. I've got a full pair of jeans, which I ended up not using. I had enough scraps. But if you had a full pair, you didn't have the waistbands, you're going to have to cut off probably waistbands from at least 2 jeans, depending on the size of the jeans. The one I used for the front was actually from kids' pair of jeans, so you can use smaller jeans. And I've decided to use this piece of fabric for the front, but you could use anything for that front, as long as it's big enough. So here I'm sewing the cuff, the sleeve, where it gaps open. I'm sewing that shut on all of them, and we're going to start with that. And on this particular design, I have the 2 back the same color, but you could make them any color. You could also cut fabric in that shape of, kind of like the triangle type shape, or the angled shape, I should say. It's not triangle, it doesn't have a point, and you could also use that. So you could use patchwork fabrics, you could use all kinds of, you could use, let's say you found a beautiful piece of drapery, you could cut it out of that. You could just, yeah, my camera struggled right here, but not anywhere else. So I don't know what was up with that, why my camera's focus was so messed up there, but anyways, excuse that, folks. But anyways, you're going to sew the other colors to each side. And the reason I did it this way is because I have to measure the front out. You could have done it a different way. Like I could have taken the 2 center sleeves, used them as copying. It might have even been easier. Use them to copy and get the shape of your front. However, doing it this way did allow me to kind of really get a really good idea of the actual size. So if you had a particular size in mind, you might want to use the method I'm using here. Otherwise, it might be easier just to sew your back 2 together and use that to copy the size of your fabric. And here I'm clipping the ends together so I know the exact width. There's always more than one way to make an upcycle, so you have to find what works for you. And I hadn't made this in a while, and so this is the way I went about it. But I actually afterwards got thinking it probably would have been easier to have just sewn the back 2 sleeves together and use that to copy the size for my front. Now here I've taken my waistband, I folded it exactly in half so that I have the most length on each side to center that button. And then it makes it so much easier to sew through if you don't have that middle layer in the bottom. So I'm assuming most people will have just a normal little regular sewing machine. I want to show you, this is really cool, how much easier it is with a razor. And I haven't put my razor in a holder thing because I just have more control over it when it's by itself like that. You can use it so much more delicately. And then I went ahead and then took those elastics off. So your jeans may be different. They may not have the adjustable waist. And then this is really cool. If you get it picked out right, and it's usually headed towards the button on one side and then away from the button on the other side. But look what you can do. You can literally just peel it open. And that is the best way to get the jeans undone. Of the bottom waistband, and that would be the side that hooks to the jeans. So that's how I did that. And then the reason I do it is because it pulls out this whole layer that's in the middle. And so much easier for your sewing machine, and it lays a little bit flatter. And then you do have to hand seam rip the ends because they do backstitch. So once I get my waistband all done up, I'm going to clip it into its location. But first, I'm going to see how big it is. Just curious what my size is going to be on this one. Now, if you're making for a specific size, I noticed mine is about 6 inches bigger than, because you want quite a bit of room. You want it to move and swing. And I'm showing you here what you would have to do to make it smaller. You would take right there in the middle there, and if let's say you needed 4 inches out, so you'd take 2 inches, and of course it's 2 pieces, so it would take out 4 inches. And that's how you would size it down for yourself. Or if you need to add more, that's where you would add it, or you could add it. Okay, so now that I've got it, I've centered my button, I'm clipping the waistband on both sides, and I'm actually just going to sew it in place there, right where I'm showing you there. I'm going to stitch it right there and then trim the denim to size. And you can use straight or zigzag here. It doesn't really matter, whatever works for you, whichever one you like best. And then I'm back, I've trimmed it and I've sewn it in place, and I'm going to measure for my middle piece. And you could lay this all up. Matter of fact, I suggest if you're making it for yourself to lay the back 2 sleeves together and the side 2 sleeves, pin them, clip them, whatever, and measure it. Make sure it's the right size. If not, size it down. And before you sew it together, then just make your front piece. And here what I decided to do was I'm just measuring it to fit. And I made mine a little bit bigger just for mistake purposes. You actually could use just a rectangle piece in here, but I wanted mine to have the same angle and the same flow all the way around it, because I knew the one that I was copying, that's what it had. And so I've got my shape there, and now what I'm going to do is mark each side with the right measurements. And I couldn't remember how wide the denim border was on the other one, so I'm trying to make it like the other one because that's what the person asked, to make one like it. And so I'm doing a copy here of something I haven't made in a long time. And it actually turned out looking, I think, very much like it. So 6 inches, it was between like 5.5 and 6. So I just cut it, made myself a 6-inch denim strip for the bottom. And yeah, I'm just getting my pieces together, measuring for my angle, my height and my angle, and I'm marking it on the sides of the little diagram I drew, so that when I put my fabric out, I have a little map to follow. And the clipboard's handy for this. I use it for all kinds of stuff. I make notes when I make new things, and then I keep those notes and keep it all together. And so now I'm going to get my fabric that I chose. Remember, for this piece, this could be more upcycled clothing. You could have it, a men's shirt back that you use. You could have patchwork that you made for this. So now I'm just using a ruler here and marking how long it, I'm following my diagram, how long to make it and my angle, and getting it all cut out. And I just think it would be easier to, if I wished I had done it that way, where I would have taken the sleeves and went ahead and cut something that would have been big enough to fit. But anyways, this worked out really well. So if you're nervous about it, just do it this way, the way I'm doing it, because it did work out really well. And but this is fun to make. It's easy to make. It's very versatile. You can wear it with all kinds of different tops, long sleeve, short sleeve, tank top. You can use it multiple seasons. You can really, and it's very forgiving. Like I said, I think the one I'm wearing is almost 6 inches or something bigger than I am on top, and it's got lots of movement. So now I'm going to clip the piece I cut out. I'm just going to clip it in place, or pin it, I should say. And that way it's in place. And I made mine a little bit too big because I was going to gather it a little. Because I've learned on plus size clothing, especially if you're making it to sell, a lot of them are large busted. So I try to make a little extra room always in the bust so they have plenty of movement. And it's hard to find good quality plus size clothing. And if you're selling, just FYI, that is one of the best sellers is plus size clothing. I actually have a really hard time selling anything from small on down. I have a very hard time selling anything. I think partly maybe they want tighter clothing, and a lot of my clothing is very loose and flowy. So yeah, that's what it looks like. And so I just put it right underneath, a ½ inch or so. And I'm kind of gathering, but you don't have to do that. The original one did not have that. I was gathering because I was trying to make extra room. I actually ended up having to come and take one side out. I would have if I would have measured properly to the center, the flower piece to the center of the button piece, but I didn't. So that's just life, it's life. You just make mistakes as you go along. That's what seam rippers are for, right? Exactly. So here I am. I'm just sewing that piece to the waistband first. And I always backstitch where the belt loops are. When I stop at one of them, I backstitch usually over them. I didn't on that one, but I usually do. And and then I laid it out here, and just to make sure my border was going to work. That's what we have so far. Oh, I sewed the sides also all the way down. And so here we go. I'm measuring for my border. And yep, 6 inches will work. So then I'm going to cut 6-inch denim strips. And I want it to be different colors. Like I want it to be fun, different colors of denim. And so I had scraps, and I just went to my scrap bin. I've got this huge, like one of those big laundry baskets full of denim scraps. I'm going to have to go through it because I don't know if some of them are usable. I just keep collecting and collecting. So I don't care like which way the denim runs. I like using little funny end pieces and things of the denim. And I like going light and dark again to catch your eye and make it stand out. And being an artist, I use a lot of the stuff I use in my art, my painting and drawing, in my upcycle creation, balance of color and the feeling and flow. It's amazing how your regular artwork translates into upcycling. And so here you want to overlap a little bit because there's an angle there. So I start it back a little bit. You want to make sure it covers all the way to the end there. And you're going to start it, and you could even sew it all the way out if you wanted. You wouldn't have to trim it or anything. That's the fun thing about upcycling. Again, I'm doing a generous hem here with a zigzag. So, zigzag, I really like it. You get like twice the thread in the space, and it holds really well. You get extra strength, and I think it just looks like homemade. It just says, this is a custom piece to me. But if you do straight stitch, you can also stop and just back up and go forwards again. And here, since I'm at the seam, I can do the angle myself, laying it all out flat. I can feel it underneath. So I can feel it. So I'm just going to follow it all the way down the top and do my back stitch and just trim it off in place. And so, this is really fun to make. It's easy to make. These sell well. No reason not to have a couple of these in your closet. So, and like I said, all season wear too. And being a little diligent and trimming your back string pays off, because if your sewing machine catches it, it'll eat it, and you have to restart your takeoff. it'll eat it, wad it all up, and you'll be having to redo it anyways. So, and there again, I'm just feeling it. And the reason I do it this way is because it's so much easier to trim the denim after you've sewn it down. Like I can just flip it over and trim it off. So here I am trimming it now to length. I'm a little bit long. And anytime you do this, when you want to go back and make sure that you secure those seams, like where you sewed it together, because otherwise, where you backstitched may have been cut away and it may try to open. So that's what I do here. I go ahead and zigzag the bottom because I also don't want it to fray past a certain point. Like I want it to be cute with a fray, but I don't want it just to keep fraying and fraying and fraying. So... and I backstitch over each one of those, lock them in place. And then I decided, it's kind of girly with the little flowers and stuff. I wanted to add a touch that would just say, hey, this is kind of girly. and just a touch of it, you know. And so I decided to put a little piece of lace right underneath the denim. And I went under the denim because I wanted you to see the fraying, a slight fray border with the lace below it. I thought that would be so cute. So then I'm just going along and stitching that also on. And I believe I used a straight stitch, if I remember, on this one. And see, we're getting really close. We've only got pockets and some shoulder straps. I tried to do a crisscross shoulder strap on this. I thought it'd be so cute, but somehow, I don't know why I put it over on my dress form, and it just didn't, it just didn't want to work out. So I went back to straight strap. Maybe if I had struggled longer with it. So I found these pockets that I had in my pocket bin. Yes, I have a pocket bin. And I decided to, and they're a little raggedy because I wash them from time to time so they don't get musty, or and give them a fresh washing. So if I don't use them in a certain amount of time. And so I trimmed them out, and I'm going to use them. And I decided not to really do anything fancy to them because the other one didn't really have it, or they were pretty plain, and I'm trying to make it like the other one. So here I'm measuring down. This is how I do pocket placement, is I'll measure from the side, like where the plaid sleeve. I'll make sure I have it gapped the same, and then measure down from the waistband from the very top of the garment, and pin my pockets in place. And now I'm working on the straps. Now my straps on the original one, which would be, I think, considered a size large, they were 8 inches apart, but I did a little bit wider because this is plus size and usually they have wider shoulders, so I did 9 or 9.5, somewhere around there. And then what you want to do, and I did break a needle or two doing the denim, and I went to, I had an older needle in there anyways, so no loss, really. I had been sewing vinyl too, which probably dulled it. So I went up a size in needle, and I had much better luck, and it was sharp. But the hardest part, the one where I had trouble, was sewing the waistband straps for the top, because I didn't take out that middle piece. I left it so it would fray like the other one. And so I was going through, sometimes you're going through 6 or 8 stacks of denim on these. And this little sewing machine, I mean, I could barely fit it in between where the foot goes, just to try to sew it. But it did it. It struggled. I broke a needle, but and for the straps, all you need to do is make sure your belt loops are sewn down. Always make sure they're sewn down. And then after you get them both sewn on and your belt loops down, then I just make them, on mine, it was 8 inches. I usually use 8 inches for, like, I don't know, extra large and under. And over that, I go a little bit more for the height. Because, again, they usually are larger in the bust, and they need that extra room. So I did more. I think I did 9.5 or something like that on this one. And then you just, once you've got them both exactly the same length, you just sew them both in place. And yeah, we're almost done, guys. That's how, I mean, of course, it's faster in the video than in real life. I think it took me 2.5, 3 hours to actually cut everything out, do everything, find everything, and put it together. So, but I thought it turned out really cute. So thank you, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you soon. Well, what do you think? It is, of course, way too big for me, but look how forgiving it is. Literally, you can make it extra big, and you don't really notice it too awful much. But this one will be for sale in my store coming up here. Also, I want to mention that I wanted to show you what a seam looks like, a raw seam after it's been washed for quite a while. This garment's probably 4 years old and worn pretty regularly, and that's what it looks like. And then your denim will fray like that if you do raw edges. So I like raw edges, but it's not for everybody. It's not everybody's cup of tea. So I also want to mention that I discovered that you can get these quick dry shirts, which are kind of slick. They're quite insulating for the winter, and they work really well underneath when you do layers because they don't grab and you can move and stuff. So somebody might also appreciate that tip. And so thank you everybody for liking, sharing, and subscribing. I appreciate each and every one of you, and for watching my videos. You're all so amazing and such a blessing. Thank you so much. And until next time, happy sewing.